You here? Yes. I'm a guest.
A special guest.
I'm a guest of the 10:30
Emphasis on
service.
special.
Well, greetings from the 8 o'clockers. We do exist, and I remember the good old days when there were guys in golf shirts because they were about to tee off in an hour or so. They kind of aged. We don't have that group around anymore, but we live. We are here at 8 o'clock. And so good morning to all of you. I'm here to tell you that in a couple of weeks we're going to start Advent. Unbelievable, huh? It's my favorite time of year. I love the readings. I love preparing for the greatest gift that we've ever been given, ever will be. It's just a joyous time of the year as we prepare for Christmas and receiving the baby Jesus. It is a liturgical time of year. We are in a period right now that's not so liturgical, but I think it's probably spiritual nonetheless, and it's called Stewardship season. That has always caused me a great deal of anxiety because I know I'm going to get a call from somebody. And I know that it challenges me to have discussions with myself that are hard and challenging, dependent upon circumstances. And I've probably let myself down and my church down and you down and everyone down. I'm not the evangelical sort of person, notwithstanding the fact that the dismissal, we say go forth and proclaim the love of God, the Word of God. I'm not one to stand up and do this, but I'm happy to do it today. Things have kind of changed because things have changed. We've gone through a tough time in this church. I am a Cradle Grace Church Episcopalian. There's several of us and that are here. I was christened along with those before me, along with my children, a grandchild. I was confirmed. My family has all been buried from this church. So I have an imprinted love of Grace Church. Like a duck hatching out of an egg sees a dog, they imprint to that dog. They're a duck. Well, I have imprinted, my love is imprinted because of my past that I had not a lot to do with. Other folks are responsible for that. But I love Grace Church. Always have, always will. I've been a Cradle Episcopalian with all the bad parts of being a Cradle Episcopalian. I've wandered from time to time. Y'all haven't. Grace Church hasn't. I've wandered, but I always come back. And there's some calling of Grace Church. And it's the spirit that stays inside this structure and on these grounds. I love Grace Church. I consider how Grace Church was built by those that built it, and the love of the artisans that came here and hand sculpted the faces of the stones that built this church, and hand carved the cedar into what we see. And the stained glass windows. There's so much beauty that this church brings. And it speaks of the faith of those folks that caused that to happen. And we are the recipients of that over time. And then there are those decades of our forefathers over time that sustained it. Grace Church has been wonderful for 136-7 years. And there's a reason for that. And it's more than just the building. It's you guys. It's those that have occupied these pews. It's those that have been ministers, lay ministers, who have provided the various manned, I guess, the ministries that we have had out of this church, the outreach that we've had, and our presence in the community, and the caring nature that we've had towards each other. You don't really know, they say, how much you care about something until it's gone. And man, we've gone through a tough time. We went through an interminable period of time searching for a minister to be our spiritual leader. And I mean, it was tortuous. It was terrible. We persevered. And we went to the Wild West and found Kathy and Wally. Thank God. And it's been a wonderful occurrence. And then the C happens. Not cancer. COVID. Worse than cancer, I think. COVID happened and we shut down. These have been tough years. Thank God for those people that are actively in that parish hall working to keep us connected to Grace Church through YouTube or media or phone calls or personal visits from Wally. We have been kept together, and now we are at the point where we are able to congregate to and with each other. And this is the spirit that has caused my thinking to change from that which I was imprinted with as just being a cradle Episcopalian, happened to be born here, and all the ceremonies that I went through here. It's the love of being here with you guys. Deeply. We love each other in this church, and that's a spirit that you cannot deny. There are people in front of me right now whose faces I know and have known well, but I can't say the name. But I feel so happy, and I'm filled with such gratitude that I'm back here among you, and that we're all together again reciting that beautiful liturgy and singing again. We still have lost sheep out there that we're gathering together from COVID, and that will happen. You got a letter from Wally. Maybe not. It's just out. Maybe it's on your breakfast room table, whatever. But it gives us the scriptural basis for stewardship. I prefer to call this the giving season. Stewardship still makes me anxious, but it makes me think. And it's intentional now because times have changed. And I feel this spirit coming from you, from within this church, and it's a new meaning of why grace. Why grace? Why Grace Church? I got a letter, 3 letters yesterday. I think the Salvation Army, St. Jude's, and Make-A-Wish. Wrote out the little checks. Cindy likes some of those very much. Wrote out little checks. And then there's Wally's letter. And I ask you all to read that. On the back now is not a pledge card. The back is your pledge. And I ask that you look at not only the scriptural basis for giving to your church, but I want you to give this letter, and hopefully my words, and my personal experience and thought, and measure it against your personal experience of why grace? Why are you here? Why do you keep coming back? Why are we together? What is the experience that we lost looking at a service online? It wasn't the same, was it? No, it wasn't. I thank God, and I give great gratitude to the ministers, lay ministers, those that attended to our various ministries here at the church during these horrible, trying times without a minister and through COVID. This year, my thoughts towards giving back are based purely upon my love that has been reformed, renewed, regenerated through a whole different process than the fact that this is just a beautiful place. I think you all understand that in a quiet moment you think about who you are, what grace is to you, why grace. And that's the message that the Stewardship Committee, after 2 hours of discussion, came up with as being our challenge this year. So please, have your conversations, pray about it, think about the ministries of this church and why you're here. And we will be getting back with you. But I want you to know that these are remarkable times. We've all been changed deeply, not just the noise that we hear out there in the political discourse, but we've been changed spiritually, I hope. And now that we're together, I think that we understand what grace is all about. And I ask that you consider that when you return that pledge card. So thank you.
Thank you, George.